Do Christians drink blood? Have you ever been to church? And as a part of that, the person speaking has offered a red blood-like substance. He then has called it blood, and then he's asked everyone to take a moment and drink of the blood. And you have thought to yourself, I wonder if they're drinking blood. If that's you, then that is a fantastic question, and that is the perfect segue to introduce you to this series of videos called An Educated Guess, where we try and have a educated guess at some tough questions around faith and spirituality. The reason it's not Q&A or frequently asked questions is because Educated Guess gives a bit of scope. What's been unhelpful in Christendom or in church life across the years is people coming out with black and white answers to things that are a little bit more grey, or at least need discussion and need to be wrestled with. And the basis is this. The night before Jesus was portrayed and ultimately gave his life, he sat his students down and he said to them, I'm going to die. And knowing humankind and knowing how forgetful we are, he gave them two symbols. He gave them bread. Now this isn't bread right here, this is biscuit, to represent his body that was about to be given. And then of course, he said, my blood is going to be given for you. And so every time you come to a meal, and these were common things at the table at that time, bread and wine, which we've got juice and biscuits here, the same symbol, same meaning. I want you, as you partake of that, to remember what I've done for you. So these symbols that Jesus used on the night before he died, although common, also had a bunch of history involved in those thousands of years of prophecy and writing. These were actually symbols for so much more. Let me explain. Bread was often used or every time used as a symbol of God's provision. Next you had the wine, which any time similar to the bread was God's overflowing provision, often used as a way to celebrate as it is today. And then blood being the third symbol, kind of representing promises made, blood oaths, I guess, or blood covenants. Kind of if you would make a promise with someone and say, well, if you break this, it's not going to end well. There'll be blood spilt. And so blood had this sacrifice sort of attached to its symbol. It also had this promise, and covenant was the word used, also attached to the symbol. And so by Jesus, knowing that his students, being good school Jewish men, knew that these symbols meant provision, meant sacrifice, meant a promise made, meant God's overflowing love. He then took them and not redefined them, but enhanced them to now remember and be part of the event that was about to happen, his own sacrifice. You will find a form of this. Communion, it's called, or the Lord's Supper in other churches, or Eucharist in others, right around the world in various forms. Small cups, big cups, small plates, wine, juice, bread, cracker, you name it. There is a section, side note, there is a section within Catholicism that does believe that the wine and the bread does transform into the blood and body of Jesus. My personal and a few others, well, quite common belief is that when Jesus gave these symbols to his disciples, he didn't cut a bit of his body off and put it in there or pour a bit of his blood. So he believed they were symbols, and so do I, and many followers of Jesus as well. Personally, when I think about this act of communion, I like the letters that Paul writes to a church in Corinth when he explains this picture of the communion meal. Trusted friends or family who are all being humbled by this idea that they all need a saviour that is outside of themselves. I like this idea that it's a celebration. There's laughter, there's tears, you're sharing. It's sharing this one thing together. It's centering ourselves each week for me and remembering what Jesus did. Look, I hope that's been helpful for you. I hope, if anything, it actually ignites a bit of curiosity for what else goes on within churches and within the Bible and within those that follow Jesus. Comment below if you have any more questions, and they might appear in future videos. And look, hit subscribe, share it around. My name's Steve Gray. This has been Educated Guess, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.